Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna talk about a little bit of a mixture of stuff today. Before we move on, if you can do me the favor and hit the like and subscribe, uh, I would really appreciate it if you guys can hit the like. There's been several things that have been happening in this channel um, along the way, and I feel like YouTube can demonize you only with so much stuff. So I grew up YouTube in the 2000s with the other channel that I had, the original one, when before I deleted it. I would see a lot of F-bombs, a lot of cyberbullying going on, a lot of shit that if you would say it now, you could actually get in trouble. Now in today's PC world generation, like you gotta be very careful what you say. You can't say specific things. And one of the stuff that I still say that because I don't say all everything that I used to say back in the 2000s is F bombing, like F this, F that. Like I can't. In this freaking today's age, the AI, they detect those words and they automatically think they're cyberbullying. I'm like, how am I cyberbullying when I've like just taking out my frustration on somebody that's a clown that wants to actually destroy the. So I'm sorry. This is the only politics that I'm gonna talk about in this video because I don't want to talk about it. It's despicable to me to think that one person is putting jeopardy of a huge percentage population of the world with a nuclear strike or nuclear strikes or World War III. And I don't want to mention names. You already know who I'm probably talking about. I just said this person is a F clown. I'm like, dude, that's kind of true. He's a clown. What do you want me to say? That's considered bullying, like the same shit that I went through with Discord. Now YouTube, but YouTube, well, at least the only difference is that Discord, those people were like bots, but it's a shame that those were people. And YouTube, they're bots actually. They're bots that detect things and automatically they think, oh, this person's cyberbullying, which technically I was not. So before I move on, I'm just gonna say that I'm not gonna post any more comments on YouTube. The only comments that I'm gonna post are about my videos that I'm gonna make, my discussions, and if I really need some advice of something that I really, really need, I'll post it and say like if I need something like how much is so and so, like if it's something, but I'm not gonna post something on any more comments just to post like, hey, how's it going? Or hope all is well, or someone's video. I'm sorry, man. I'm not posting any more comments unless like it's really needed or it's something on my content. That's about it. So you gotta understand that I don't want to blow my channel just because of one AI, and then YouTube doesn't even have they don't even you can't even fight it. Like they're fighting thing if something bad goes wrong. They don't have customer service, so you can explain. The appealing is just putting it. I heard stories of people getting the worst types of shadow bans. It's ridiculous, and I don't want to waste this channel only because of something dumb, because it was technically dumb. Anyways, now I'm going to the video. So back in 2023, I've been making a lot of promises, and I'm not making those promises. That's one thing that I do that I sometimes say that I'm gonna do stuff and I don't do it. Um, I said that I was gonna play a lot of the boomer shooters, and I'm gonna make a boomer shooter tier list by the end of this year. And we're almost kind of not done, but I mean we still need a few more months for 2024. But I'm like, shit, man. I only beat him one game out of the 10 or 15 games that I still need to play to make that tier list. I'm like, no, there's no way that I'm gonna make that tier list for the boomer shooters. And then I tried finding out on YouTube if there was any videos on regards on the type of boomer shooters from most people think boomer shooters started in Doom or Duke Nukem, but not Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein, sorry. But actually there was older, much older games. I think in 1990, I don't remember the name, But there's a documentary out there on YouTube. You can even watch it of John Romero even talking about the game that he played and he actually liked it and he copied those elements from Wolfenstein. It's a game that has like a weird alien gun and there's like weird one eyeball creatures like alien stuff and then you move around. It looks like it looks like yeah, it looks like Wolfenstein. So that was the first boomer shooter. And I think there was another one in 81 that John Romero didn't mention. So technically, I think the Wolfenstein is like the third game. So those type of, to me, boomer shooters are from that game all the way towards probably Quake 2. That's when boomer shooters kind of died for me. So anything Quake 2 is like in between of Half-Life. I feel like Half-Life is not boomer shooter. Half-Life was the one that trended and changed a lot of the mechanics for boomer shooters. And then Halo came along and then changed it even more. And I don't want to go with more depth. So I don't understand why people think that, oh, it has guns, automatically put it as a boomer shooter. Now, boomer shooters, to me, the definition of boomer shooters, any game that is similar to Doom or Quake or Wolfenstein, that if you kill an enemy, the enemy's not gonna be on the ground. You grab the ammo, you have several weapons, not two weapons like the games nowadays that are just like Halo. You have, and then your health. It's not like you take some damage and then your health automatically regenerates. No, not that type of bullshit. Your health, you lose your health, there's armor, and then you lose armor. That same mechanic that moved on with Turok, which you can say Turok can be a boomer shooter. Sounds like the boomer shooters were kind of dying in the late 90s. So, yeah, Turok 1, Turok 2, 98, 96, when those games came out, I consider those to be boomer shooters. But the true boomer shooters are enemies that don't disappear, that stay. And the only reason some of the enemies disappeared back in the N64 days was because the cartridge wouldn't handle a lot of the stuff, so they have to clean up the screen in order for the game to run much better. Because we had so many bodies, you wouldn't have a lot of the functions would like the game would crash and so forth. You know what I mean? That's why uh, enemies disappearing became a thing in the N64 because the graphics were the ones that were purging that idea of seeing dead bodies. And then the early 2000s, when the next generation came along, it was even worse. They were trying to push way better graphics at the expense of actually having enemies disappearing as well. So the whole enemies having bodies there kind of disappeared. Having a lot of enemies, only having certain amount of enemies at the expense of having great graphics and actually destroying overall the playability of the game. You know what I mean? Like there was the 90s there in a lot of games there were more things in some games. Some games in the 2000s there was less things because they have to actually like what's the word I'm looking for? Like Doom 3 when it came out, there was no Baron of Hell, but the BFG edition, the Resurrection of Evil, sorry, the expansion, they included the Barons as bosses. But the only reason why they didn't include a lot of the enemies like the Rochnotron and they added like a tick. I feel like they wanted to actually not break the game because if they added a big creature with a lot of shooting mechanics, like the Rochnotron will shoot the plasma gun, it would slow down the game and it would probably crash. So they had to really downsize it to a lot of those mechanics because of the graphics. So in that regard, late 90s and early 2000s, you can blame that graphics pushing. And now that after the pandemic happened, like companies are starting to realize, okay, a lot of the new games are not making the big bucks as they used to. The remasters and remakes are making good amount of money, so they're actually not. having the best graphics now because it's very, very expensive. So now they're having graphics that are similar to like the old school of the 90s as well, and then they're going back to the roots. So there's a lot of indie games out there that are thriving and that are actually becoming successful now. And there's this website. I'm gonna link this when I'm done with this video of all the boomer shooters on Steam. Now, this is not the complete list of boomer shooters, but keep in mind, this is a good chunk of games. And I actually thought that Doom was actually gonna be the number one, but no. There's this game called Ultra Kill, which I never heard is the number one game on Steam right now. Then it's Doom 1 and 2 because it came along. And then Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun when it came out. A lot of these games tend to go down. Like Quake 2, probably when it came out, it was probably number one or number two. So a lot of these games go up and down. I'm actually surprised that Doom 64 is on top 10 games. It's in the top 20. And I feel like, in a way, that's how my channel got appreciated a little bit more because of Doom 64. Now, I can go many routes in this channel because before this, I had the nickname Lenny1777. I had classic video games 1777 and was focused only on video games. But then when I changed my channel, game name channel, started doing a little bit of everything like videos like this. So I'm actually thinking of actually changing the channel again, and I don't know if that might be appreciated by several people because I feel like the route that I'm taking, I'm just playing video games. I'm not doing the phenomenal job. Like I need probably a video editor, which I've been talking about that I need for years. Some people that I know that I'm not gonna mention out there, they use some video editors for free, but they just never give out the tips. They just say, "Oh, I use this," but I mean, they don't make a video. Like it's one thing they tell you how to like download something, and it's another thing to use another thing. Like it takes a lot to learn to make a video edit to at a functional well at a functional level that can make you actually do good content that can be appreciated. So I feel like in video games, I feel like editing is a must. Now, if you're not gonna edit, at least make an intro, make an outro. That's usually the non-commentary channels that I've been seeing where they actually just have an intro game. Um, the only edit is probably uh, just like the slightly the beginning and the very end before they cut the video. If they're using something like OBS and then the outro, and then they try to make that at 14K, 1440p. That's the vast majority of gamers that are making good content. Like son of a gun, man. Now that I moved from 720 to 1080, like 3 years ago, those people moved from 1080 to 14K. I'm always behind one freaking like back in the early 2010s, 2013 and 14 when I started making these videos, people were moving from 720 to 1080 and yeah, I'm always behind in some of this stuff. So I feel like in video games you always have to catch up with the best graphics, which I have never been. Um, and just the new games overall. And I'm not liking the new games. So I'm like, all right, so there's a ton of boomer shooters. Should I stick to boomer shooters? There's game projects that I said that I was gonna play and beat, like Resident Evil 1 for remake for one, and I was actually gonna make that walkthrough 2 months ago. Sorry, not 3 years ago. 2 months ago, and some stuff happened. I found some discoveries. I need to make some notes on that before I forget because I've been wanting to make a walkthrough on that game because I've seen several walkthroughs and they have not mentioned it. That's the only good reason about having commentaries that they can explain some stuff as they go along. Now, a lot of the commentaries, and this is, I think I'm one of the very few people. They play the game very serious, and then when they're done, then get a mic and then they start talking. I'm like, oh, this is what I did, or this, or they pretend they're commenting while they're playing, but they're not necessarily commenting while they're playing. They do the commentary much, much later. And I don't know if that's more professional thing to do or not, but I'm like one of the very few idiots out there on YouTube that are playing video games that they do the commentary live or doing the game during the commentary. So I don't know if that's a smart thing or a bad thing. That's why I did a lot of mistakes with Doom 64 because I said I was not thinking when I was playing the game, I was not 100% concentrating what I was about to say, and I think I made several speech errors. I think that's mainly the reason why people do a lot of the commentary after they're done playing the game, and of course they have to edit and do a lot of the software that, so they takes up a lot of time to do that. And since I'm lazy when it comes to like the editing, like anything that technology wise, it's a hassle for me, so I don't like to do it. So yeah, I was surprised about the boomer shooters. I'm like, man, look at this list. The first page, without shadow of a doubt, I know they're boomer shooters. But then the second page, after the 100 list, it gets a little bit crazy. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if these games are even considered to be boomer shooter just because they have guns. So you get to a point where like there's no website out there on YouTube. I mean, there's no website on the internet, and there's no videos out there explaining all the boomer shooters. And I would love if somebody can make a video, if I can help make a list. I'm more than glad to do it because there's other games that came out like on the 3DO. There's like a Terminator game that's a boomer shooter, and not a lot of people know about it. And I think that's the only reason why I wanted a 3DO mini because of that game. And the other one, something about Escape from Monster Manor. That's a Wolfenstein clone, but a little bit worse. Well, no, a little bit much worse than Wolfenstein. It's not. Wolfenstein is a great game. Escape from Monster Manor. I'm not gonna say it's a bad game, but it's nowhere near as good as Wolfenstein. Let's just put it that way. Escape from Monster Manor, I feel like they could have done a phenomenal job if they added more stuff, but I feel like they got lazy. And honestly, I think it's probably one of the scariest games for its time. The atmosphere and everything. Yes, the game is actually very scary for its time. I don't know what year it came out. I think it came out in 1995 or 4. So not that many games were that creepy oriented as this game. So go check it out. Escape from Monster Manor. You'll know exactly what I mean about the scary vibes. Like I know Alone in the Dark was one of the very few games that pushed the scary narrative back in the early 90s. And then from there, it started to move on. Escape from Monster Manor is another one. I think that's what they were trying to aim for back in Doom. They wanted to make a scary game, but it didn't quite go well. So instead, the people got, after the first episode, got more of a punk metal, hard rock shooting. And I think John Romero really captivated that. I'm like, you know what? Let's stick to these rather than a very dark, creepy game that we were going for. Because I think the original idea was something like Doom 3 with graphics of original Doom. And I think there was an interview of John Carmack saying something like that. They wanted to go for something creepy, scary, but since the mechanics and the graphics of the 90s, they couldn't do the creepy vibes of those games. But since because of the limitations, it brought an amazing idea by mistake of something rock metal and playing a game of killing a bunch of enemies. Same thing with what I was going to with the late 2000 or early 2000s, sorry, in late 90s of pushing the best graphics because they wanted to try something new. So because of the damn limitations again, it played a role. Now, the limitations of now is not a graphics, and it's not anywhere between anything that we have experienced before in the 90s. More of the 90s was a little bit of everything. 80s, same thing. 2000s, it was more of the RAM, storage, how many, like the size of the games. A lot of times, the games that were really, really big, a lot of times the companies kind of went bankrupt after that because the games were too big and expensive. They wanted to keep the game at a minimal size, but not too minimal. A good decent size in the 2000s, and then the 2010s they wanted to push something. I don't know what I know 2010s was something new, but then the 2020s with the pandemic and everything, this past 5 6 years I've been seeing, oh, the remasters and remakes have been doing a lot of the, and the collections, they have been doing really good money. Where and I feel like now that the companies are seeing that the nostalgia is hitting the people that are been born in the millennials and late generation X are buying a lot of these games. So I think that it's going more of a generation thing and a supply and demand, and back in the 90s and 80s it was more of a something new. 80s, 90s and 2000s it was something new. That's why the Wii came out. When the Wii came out, it was something new. N64 four players came out, it was something new. When the arcades, when we saw four players, something new. The whole new thing kind of died in the late 2000s, in my opinion, because in the 2010s, the new thing, I guess, was pushing um, the max capacity for online. I think the max were 8 players, 16 players, give or take. When people started seeing servers of having people over 32, 64, or even more in some cases, anything past 8 was like, oh, something new in the 2010s. I think Mario Party 7 had 8 players, so it was like something new. I think Mario Party 7 came out in 2009 or 8. I think. Alright, let me think. Mario Party 3. Yeah, somewhere in the late 2000s. So the late 2000s, early 2010s was pushing the max capacity of players in one game. I guess that was the something new. So now that game developers kind of ran out of something new, I'm like, yeah, making the graphics way better. I'm like, but I guess the brain doesn't like getting intrigued, so people don't think that's something new, like the feeling of something new. So I guess people don't get that dopamine rush of something new anymore. So they're like, you know what? Let's go back steps when the games were actually hitting, they were successful, and they were starting to actually go back to that idea of um, remakes, collections. And right now, I think the indie game route is probably gonna be at an all-time high in the coming years because the indie games usually are not that expensive. So any indie games that charge games for more than $40 on launch, more than likely they're probably not gonna be successful because everybody wants cheaper games now that are good, amazing, and affordable. So yeah, the indie game route is actually gonna be the route that's gonna be in the coming years because I guess nobody wants to buy that 60, $80 game that comes out crashing on day one, full of bugs. You know what I mean? So now that I'm saying all of this, where am I going with this? Boomer shooter route, making this channel. I'm like, shit. I don't know if I want to go that route. It's way too time consuming. I only seen like 3 or 4 other channels that are really like 100% dedicated to boomer shooters, and I feel like they can't even catch up with all these games. There's one guy, man, that I feel like I'm not gonna mention names because again, like I'm always feel like I'm always bashing people, bringing up fights, but that's just how I am, man. Freaking horse energy. Like this guy living in his mom basement, he's always playing the next boomer shooter. I'm always playing the boomer shooters, and like good for him. I can probably do that, but I don't have that energy. Like during the pandemic, I was seeing people do platinums every week. I'm like, I can't catch up with this person, man. He's fucking 1918. Maybe it has to do with the age. I don't know, but I can't keep up with boomer shooters, and I guess that's everybody's different. So I'm like, all right, so I want to stick to all N64 games. But I thought about that round. I'm like, shit, it's probably gonna take me years to complete, and it's probably gonna be something that I'll probably never beat because there's some sports games that I never was a big fan of sports games, especially on the N64. So I don't know if I should go that route. So boomer shooters out of the question. Sports game, I mean N64 games out of the question. So I'm like, all right, so I'll just do my projects 100% game list, and that's just what I've been going through for the past several years of going this route. But yet then again, I wanted to make a channel of you know what? I wanted to make Doom as well and bring a Doom community together, which I feel like I kind of well, I don't think I did, but I hang out around with Doom fans on on the internet is one thing, but like communicating with them on the daily is it's impossible, man. Like first of all, I don't like Discord. I multiple times I wanted to like it. I don't like it at all, and then it's like how am I gonna communicate with these people if they're all using the same stuff? It's like YouTube. I wish YouTube wasn't the only platform, so I wouldn't actually have my own opinions, but unfortunately, it's the only platform right now. And a lot of people don't know this, but YouTube slash Google, because they're the same company owned by the same people, are going into a big lawsuit. Fucking karma's hitting them, and I think the lawsuit's gonna last until 2028. And that they're being using monopolizing their platform to be using the search engine for their stuff. And I use Google, but there was one point that I would use Firefox a lot, and then I went to Google, and then instead of using DuckDuckGo for like a few months, and I'm like, nah, I went back to Google. But it's just like the most one that I'm used to it. But it's like YouTube. Everybody's so used to YouTube, but YouTube is not the only platform that makes videos, but it's like the most go-to. And right now, people are making TikTok videos. It's like the most go-to to express your freaking feelings right now on the internet. No, YouTube is up there, but I think TikTok is a number one. I think YouTube is probably up there. I'm not gonna say number two, because I feel like maybe Twitter is probably number two. Maybe YouTube comes in the third. So after I saw that I've been failing with the Doom community, that I wanted to actually galvanize and get together the Doom community, and I asked several people that make a lot of the stuff for other collectors. They all been failing me. I asked three or four different vendors, and then I asked two other people after them. So a total of like six or seven people, and they all failed to make me some Doom stuff, except for like two people on Etsy. I think one guy made me, what was it? It was the portrait for Doom 64. They're not that hard to make. It's just I think 3D printing, and then there was something else that I can't think. So I've been requesting a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't have as great as this other people that I'm not asking for much. I'll pay money. I'll pay the money to give these people make me some stuff that I really want, but I'm like they're failing me big time because these people are getting 3D printed Spider Mastermind painted statues lookalikes that look phenomenally well, and I'm like, why is this person getting the golden treatment and I'm not? So I'm like, I always feel like I'm always being left out with the Doom community. So the same thing with the card community when I would play Magic the Gathering. I feel like I was always being the outcast and pushed away. And this is just like the only thing that I'm kind of ranting right now. I'm not ranting about that I'm lonely and single, like all the some people that put it out there. I really don't give a rat's ass about that. I'm already used to being lonely and single and struggle and doing a lot of those struggles. I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about the stuff that I really, really care right now is having a Doom community and making it together. There's a Doom 64 Discord, and I feel like those can be good steps to actually make it better. And I've been really trying to get a few Doom 64 mods with zero success. I'm not a tech savvy person. I'm like, if I can't go that route of making good walkthrough content or having a good Doom community where it eventually becomes a podcast. So I'm like, son of a bitch, man. I'm probably gonna turn this channel into a business channel because I've been making videos about um, hair products, about colognes, and that has been my one of my goals to actually become a business person. So in a way, I'm kind of am, but I want to make if goals. I'm like, if this channel is being demonized and my channel is not growing, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can actually start making money, and then if I can make other companies, if they want to invest in me, and if I can actually have sponsors or what have you, if I can actually uh make them some money and I can make some money, then I know YouTube is gonna start liking me because that's what YouTube cares only. They only care about the narrative, which I'll never be a sellout. That's the only reason why I've been demonized, because I hate some of the politics and the players that are on top that are actually destroying um, the world little by little. So, in the politics side, I know some people are gonna disagree with me on several topics, which I would love to actually go into, but it's very, very touchy subject, so I'm not gonna go into it. And I know several people have unsubscribed to this channel because I have talked about politics in the past. And the only thing that I'm gonna say is that if I can't go with the narrative, then I'm gonna uh, be supported money with companies. That's the only thing that YouTube pushes people on the subscription and the algorithms. They say that liking and subscribe, I mean liking and commenting helps perhaps, but I feel like if you have sponsors and if you're making somebody money, doesn't have to be sponsors. Like if you're promoting a product or if you're doing something to make some corporations, some companies more money, I feel like YouTube is gonna detect that with their AI or some company, I don't know. And I feel like that's one way of your channel getting elevated. And that's actually the only thing that I see it. I don't know how the hell PewDiePie and Mr. Beast got really big when, quite honestly, one of their few. I'm not. I don't know. I guess I'm being a dick by saying this, but I seen one of like the early videos. I'm like, how did this guy even got big? But I don't know, man. I really don't know. They gambled 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, and they got big. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna gamble as well. I'm gonna try a little bit of everything with the businesses now that I've been getting occult information and occult knowledge and all of this. I'm gonna start applying it little by little in my daily life. And yeah, unfortunately, that's, I guess I'm being a weirdo by asking people now what year they were born. And it sucks, dude, that I'm a magnet for people that are enemy years for horses. Go look up the Chinese zodiac for the good signs and bad signs, and I understand why I'm messed up. I'm not saying that the Chinese zodiac is real. I'm getting a little piece of everything now because I consider myself agnostic. Believe a little bit of Christianity. I believe a little bit of Islam as well. I believe a little bit of Chinese belief systems, not necessarily Buddhism, but like um, old traditions, a little bit of Hinduism, like the whole reincarnation. I buy a little bit into it, just not that much. So I'm getting a little bit of everything right now, and just, you know what? Let's see what works more, and that's what usually I'm doing right now. I'm not necessarily 100% buying into the whole Chinese zodiac, but Lately, it's been the most stuff that has been like wowing me the most. Like, wow, I can't believe now I see. And that's why I've been intrigued on this in the past year with all this information about enemy, the yin yang, about the enemy signs with the rat and the horse, and like, son of a gun, man. Two chicks that I've been talking to in the past 4 years have all been freaking rats. And now I see. And then there was a third chick. I tried getting her number and she said no. And then I ended up finding out she was born in 1996. Year of the fucking rat. Now I see why um, relationships are messed up because people are attracted to their enemy signs. I feel like this stuff works. That's why I'm so into this information. I'm like, you know what? And there's more into it, which I don't want to talk about in this channel. But aside from that, they're gonna end this video. Um, I still don't know if I really want to make this a business channel where I start promoting, I start raffling stuff. I think that might piss off some people because this channel started with video games. And I feel like it might actually make some people happier in seeing my success monetarily, I guess. Or some people they'll be like, "What the heck is this? Who's this person?" I don't remember how I subscribed. When you change a whole lot of stuff, I seen channels where they were something else and then they change their name and they change something else. Don't be surprised if that happens. I might be thinking that's why I'm giving you as a heads up. I don't want to be like changing it and then people will be like, "What the heck?" Don't say I didn't warn you guys that I said I was gonna change this channel. So game content, yes, I still will be am, but I think the only stuff that I'm gonna focus on beating is probably the game projects, Doom, um, just Doom in general, and the game projects, and yeah, that's about it. All right, guys, I'm gonna link this link of the boomer shooters. If anybody out there knows of a video that explains all the boomer shooters or a website, I would greatly appreciate it. I have not seen anything out there where people can actually see a complete list of the boomer shooters. But when it says boomer shooters, not the bullshit of adding Halo or Call of Duty or freaking Half-Life. Nah, to me, those are not boomer shooters. And it has to be like the classic Wolfenstein Doom style games. So, yeah, I'm gonna cut this video. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out.